Hi, I'd like to take a minute to look specifically at how Miss Shirley Miller, a kindergarten teacher in Bastrop, made really intentional decisions about how she shared student work and when she shared it, where she shared it, and what she shared in order to really advocate for process-based writing in schools and to educate the audience members about what good process teaching and writing looks like in a writing workshop classroom. So here's a Padlet of all the different units of study that our choice and voice teachers created. I'm going to go over here to Miss Miller's first unit of study that she did in the fall and open that up. And so for each of these videos, what I really want to look at are the goals of the unit, where students published, how they published, what they published, and some of those choices that teachers made that kept in mind those bigger goals of advocating for this type of work in classrooms. So I love that picture of her class there. I'm going to move forward and just look at the goals first. So in this unit, Miss Miller set the goals of students telling stories in sequence that included the setting, people in it, what happened, and that they would also be able to identify their pictures and words and be able to share that orally with an audience. I think that orally is important because we knew that at the beginning of the year in kindergarten, most students were going to be using pictures and words, pictures and strings of letters to document their story. And we wanted them also to be able to tell that story in sequence. We know from research how important talking is in a writing workshop classroom and in writing process. We know that from our own experience as authors, as adults as well, that talk really helps us to compose. So I'm going to click now through to the end to show how they, what they published and how they did that. So the students drew pictures, and some of them who were ready developmentally added on strings of letters or some words to tell a story from their lives. And one thing that Miss Miller noted was that she really wanted her audience to be able to get the true intention of the oral storytelling and hear that full story. So what she did was she recorded each student telling their story, and she created and printed a QR code. And then when she had the publication party with families, they could scan that QR code and listen on their phones. And that's why you see some phones up to parents' ears here. They're downloading apps so that they could hear the student telling that story. And then they provided feedback to their students that helped to relate or shared how they related to those stories. I thought this was just a really amazing way for her to show students oral stories and to not feel the need to transcribe in her own handwriting what the students were saying. This way the parents could get the whole story and also visually see what writing process looks like on the paper. These papers were completely owned by the students. They were at the level that the students could produce. And in that way, we are showing that writing is a process. It's not going to be perfect and correct from the very first time, that we have to develop these skills little at a time. We could really celebrate those strengths that students had at that point in their writing. Really great details, action. There was just so many elements to storytelling that was so powerful. And I think Shirley Miller did a really great job of helping her audience access those strengths. So after they had their publication party in class, then Miss Miller partnered with Birdall's Pecan Candy and Gift Company. This is Pearl the squirrel here, who is well known in Bastrop, in a very prominent area on a street with a big marquee that's just beckoning people to come buy pecan pies and other goodies there. And she thought about when to post it, and she thought, well, there's going to be a lot of traffic at Birdall's around Thanksgiving when people are buying their pecan pies. And so it was during that week of when students were off for Thanksgiving break that these pieces were posted here. And she included this sign here, which a lot of writing workshop teachers do when they are going to post work, that lets the reader know the intention behind the assignment and the developmentally appropriate stage that those writers are in, knowing that there might still be some unconventional use of language, some invented spelling, and that is evidence of high quality teaching and learning. Not deficits, but evidence of real, true thinking, rigorous work and thought that the students have put into this work. I love the way that Miss Miller wrote this using the word we. She's really including the audience in this conversation. She's saying, we hope you take pleasure in reading our writing. You might notice that many of our stories have no words at all. Students are communicating their thoughts in the developmentally appropriate practice of drawing pictures and images. We are in the early stages of writing. We write stories using pictures, and some of us are beginning to use labels, inventive spelling words, and sentences. I just love how simple this description is, but how inclusive it is of the community and how celebratory it is of this amazing work that kindergarten students are doing. You can see the variety of pictures. These examples up here were actually little books. Some of the students were ready to stretch their stories over pages, and so they did so. Other students chose to tell their story on one page using sometimes strings of letters and sometimes just the drawing, with great details here and action. Here's a fishing pole, it's hanging down. You can see how they really used their space. And the QR codes, again, for the audience to be able to access the true intentions of the author. Here we have people viewing that. And then one more thing that Shirley did in this unit that I think also helped her advocate for this type of work was sharing the parent feedback, showing that she's engaging parents in ways that really support students' academic, creating really strong literacy partnerships with parents and families. And then at the end here, she's also got quotes from the research that we read as a group, our study group, from About the Authors by Katie Wood-Ray and Study Driven by Katie Wood-Ray, to show and demonstrate to her readers of this unit, like her administrators or evaluators or colleagues, that this work that she's doing is grounded in peer-reviewed professional texts and resources for writing workshop. So I'm going to now exit out of here, and I'd like for us to just take a quick look at what Shirley did in her next unit. Ms. Miller, for her second unit in the spring, engaged her students in analyzing and applying author's craft to the production of ABC books. And so that was the goal of the unit, was to analyze and apply author's craft of ABC books. She she collected a great mix of ABC books, some that just stuck to one letter, others that had themes like around sports, some went through the whole alphabet, others went out of order, so that students really noticed that and then could apply that to their own. First, they decided to publish a class ABC book digitally, where each student contributed one page, and she had them draw the background. She thought about digital publication, and she really felt like the audience would miss out on the true process of the writing if the final product was only digital. She decided she wanted to incorporate the students' art in this so that the layering was there, and so that the real voice and strengths of the student illustrators could shine through the piece. So we'll take a look really quick at what that Class ABC book looked like then. And again, I'm not going to look through this whole thing. We hope that you'll spend more time looking at the ABC book later. But let's just see how that ended up looking. So this great one here, S is for San Diego. She made sure at this stage in the year, toward the end of the year, that kids were using some conventional spelling of high-frequency words, but that they were still honoring this brave spelling of words that they didn't quite know how to spell yet. And the students, you can just see how they were owning that work and really mixing both conventional and inventive spelling at this time of the year. Let's just maybe listen to one.
S is for surfboard.
Again, the audio that she used here really helped us to hear the student's voice and intention, and for the audience to really connect with the writers. I'm going to close this out. This ABC book was also displayed on the library website. You might have noticed that it had more than 3,000 views. And so even though it was published digitally, it was shared in a local digital space where many Bastrop residents or other people who were on the Bastrop Library website could view this book. So again, reaching out to a broader audience for demonstrating this type of rigorous, high quality teaching of writing. So then for the second part of this unit, she had each student create their own ABC book. And again, they could choose the format for that book, thinking about the other ABC books that they had studied during the first part of this unit. And then those books were published at the library in hard copy for people to read. I'm just gonna, there's so much to say about each page of these. They're just so amazing, but I'm gonna go ahead and look toward that display and publication that she did. I'm going to come back to those in a second. Here at the Bastrop Library, you can see that the librarian put them on display and that there were many readers who came. And over here you can see how Miss Miller has a chart here that really explains to the audience the research behind invented spelling, the importance of that stage in learning to write. And then also, I love that she did this. She invited anyone who came to the library to take a selfie with the ABC books and to tweet out that selfie to her. And we'll see in a minute that there were a lot of people who took advantage of that opportunity. Another thing that Miss Miller did that was similar, that came from a similar place as in that first unit, is she really wanted to make sure the intentions of the authors were clear to the reader. But she didn't want to write on the student's writing. She really wanted it to be student-owned. And what she decided on in the end was on the inside of the cover of the book to tape on a little description here. This one says, this ABC book was made by Brianna, age 6, from Miss Miller's kindergarten class. While you read, be on the lookout for these words. So any of the words that she thought the reader might not be able to decipher based on the phonetics and the picture, she went ahead and listed here so that as they read, there'd be like a little clue for the reader to understand that intention. These two authors had chosen to do books on themes, and so in case that theme wasn't completely apparent to the reader, she also put that in here, that Harrison's theme was sports and Joseph's theme was law enforcement. And then again, these went on display at the Bastrop Public Library, which is a beautiful space. So these are all pictures taken by families of their kids with their books as they went to the public library on their own time to view the ABC books. Again, she has parent feedback here in the slideshow so that she can show how she is really engaging families in this academic literacy work. I love Papa here, Claire's grandfather. There I am. I just wanted to show here that a few prominent members of the community came and saw these books on display and tweeted out their pictures. This is Molly McClure. She's a board member for the Bastrop ISD School District, and she has her selfie there. And then the mayor of Bastrop also stopped by, and she saw the sign and took a picture of her book and tweeted it out as well. So I hope that that you take some more time to look through these units and to try out this work on your own and think really carefully about those decisions we make so that we can all join together to advocate for this important process work in writing classrooms.